Hare Krishna Prabhu, there's no sound.
Is it okay, Prabhu?
Yeah, fine now.
Thank you. Sorry.
Everybody together, a little louder. सब लोग जोर से बोलो.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I welcome all of you to His Holiness Candramauli Swami daily class. And today, Maharaj is going to continue on Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, which is Maharaj Parikshit cursed by a Brahman boy, and verse number 5. Hare Krishna, Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Ho, glories to Prabhupada, my obeisances to you and all the devotees. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vatkalerna Prabhavet Pravisto Piha Sarvataham Yadvarisho Mahan Orvyam Abhimanyava Ekarat. As long as the great powerful son of Abhimanyu remained the emperor of the world, there was no chance that the personality of Kali would flourish. As we have already explained, the personality of Kali had entered the jurisdiction of this earth long ago. And he was looking for an opportunity to spread his influence over the world, but he could not do so satisfactorily due to the presence of Maharaj Parikshit. That is the way of good government. Disturbing elements like the personality of Godhead will always try to extend their nefarious activities. But it is the duty of the able state to check them by all means. Although Maharaj Parikshit allotted places for the personality of Kali, at the same time he gave no chance for the citizens to be swayed by the personality of Kali. Umgyan Timirandasya Gana Jana Savakaya Chaksun Melitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Badaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pastyatya De Satarine Vanchakopa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Vaibhacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the personality of Kali in the present day is all over the world. In fact, the world is ruled by the influence of Kali. As people take up characteristics of illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling, become quite profuse and all pervading everywhere in the world. Anyone who declares to be free from these or speaks against these seems to be outside of the norm. But here we have the opposite, and this is the history of the world, is that when initially Kali Yuga appeared, Kali made his attempt to come in, but because there was righteous rule, a devotee who was actually ruling the world, a Rajarsi, couldn't do anything. But still, because he was a citizen, and because he was also, we might say, a living being, the king gave him an opportunity to live, but no place to influence. But Kali was looking for some way in, and as this chapter unfolds. And we'll see how Kali gets in. But as we look at today's present situation, righteousness, morality is being challenged by irreligion in all forms. Nowadays, morality is up for when we say interpretation. People interpret what is actually morality, whereas morality is the foundation by which spirituality grows. Without morality, there's no question of spirituality. But what is morality nowadays has not been given any clear definition, because Kali has influenced people to choose what is their standard of morality. And we have such ridiculous things as same-sex marriages as being a standard for acceptance and is considered to be acceptable. But the scriptures speak otherwise and condemn such activities. As marriage is for the procreation of children, that's one of the, and same-sex marriage doesn't allow that to happen, obviously. And therefore, it is against the principles of morality, civility, and at the same time, against the principles of religion. So, we live in a very immoral time, to use a very simple way to define today's lifestyle. People do what they want, whenever they want, and there's no check. If somehow persons are a little bit pious by nature, they start to understand how to behave and become somewhat civilized in their behavior, and that makes them candidates for coming to spirituality, because immorality is a disqualification for approaching spirituality. Therefore, the principles of religion are founded on 4: no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, and no gambling. Although we simply state these things, each one of them has a very extensive explanation of what it entails. It's not simply the statement. There is what we say, an unraveling of each of the meaning of each of the one of them, which goes deep into the principle of establishing true morality. As Srila Prabhupada said, these 4 principles are not optional, because they are the foundations by which one can practice spirituality without any disturbance, and at the same time, they are the foundation by which all of sinful activities exist within these 4 forms of sinful activity. They're not just moral, they're sinful. And sinful means offensive. And when things become offensive and sinful, then there is a great calamity in society. And then people are forced to accept something that is contrary to their own existence as a spiritual being. And therefore, it's very hard, we see in today's, that even in spiritual circles, people challenge the principles of spirituality and moral religious principles on the basis of permissiveness and the basis of keeping up with the times, on the basis of individual expression. They give so many reasons why you don't have to follow these principles, or you can follow them in your own interpretative way. And because of that, even within spiritual circles, these things get challenged and even what we say offended. and therefore it even becomes very difficult to keep him. But Prabhupada, when he established him, and he made it, he adamantly established him without any consideration of any type of adaptation that may come up in the future based on time, place, and circumstances. They don't apply to time, place, and circumstance. They're absolute principles. Of course, you might say, well, yeah, just like, for instance, meat eating. When there is a situation where that is allowable, in the sense that when Prabhupada sent his preachers to different places in the world, they went to Russia. This is after Prabhupada had come to Russia. And devotees were trying to preach in Russia. Of course, it was dangerous to do that at the time, because if you were caught, you were put into prison, or you might even be, what we say, sent to mental hospitals where they inject you with all kinds of drugs, which destroys your mind. And that happened. And so when one devotee wrote to Prabhupada that, I'm trying to preach in Russia, but there's nothing to eat here. And he said, there's only meat. Prabhupada said, well, then eat meat and preach. He gave that concession because preaching seems to overshadow all forms of regulations. But Prabhupada said, don't take advantage of that. And don't use it simply to try to break the principles in the name of preaching. The principles must be followed, but in emergency circumstances, it may be adjusted. Just like one time when Prabhupada was in Calcutta. He had come to the home of one very well-to-do person. He had brought many of his new English, US, American, and British disciples with him. And the man was very enthusiastic to serve the devotees and Srila Prabhupada. So they made a big feast. But as the feast was being distributed, the devotees noticed that the pakora was made out of onion. That was an onion pakora. And so they alerted Srila Prabhupada to the situation. Prabhupada said, never mind, just continue. So he rejected that protest because in that case, he didn't want to offend the host. And he could see it would be better just to accept it. Again, emergency situation. And again, by the grace of the pure devotee spiritual master, not whimsically or not independently or not surreptitiously or for whatever reason. So there are injunctions like that that can somehow become adjusted, but adjustment is not the standard. Sometimes people take the adjustment as the standard. Just like there's one statement somewhere in the Ramayana that Lord Ram ate meat. I haven't come across it. I just heard from Srila Prabhupada's lecture. And Prabhupada says yes, and people say, well, because Lord Ram ate meat, then we can eat meat. But Prabhupada said Lord Ram didn't establish slaughterhouses. And Prabhupada said, Lord Ram can eat the whole world. He is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one cannot imitate. When Jesus was in the desert with his followers, and there was nothing to eat, and he used his mystic power to bring about fish and some bread so people could have some food. Otherwise, they were going to starve to death. So, yeah, these are exceptions, and it's always done in the association or under the guidance of a great personality, and not whimsically or independently. But these four principles are foundational for coming to the platform of the mode of goodness, because as it's understood, the mode of goodness is the platform by which one can execute Krishna consciousness. One cannot use the mode of passion or the mode of ignorance in terms of the characteristics that make up these modes to be used to devotional service. Krishna tells even Arjuna, now it's interesting because Arjuna is a fighter, and he has to wax anger in order to fight. But Krishna told him, you come to the mode of goodness. So in the same way, we are all encouraged in that way to come up to the standard of developing the qualities of the mode of goodness as the foundation for the complete execution of Krishna consciousness. Of course, we don't stop at the mode of goodness. We engage these qualities in the service of the Lord, and then they become Suddha Sattva. Sattva refers to goodness. Suddha Sattva means pure goodness or devotional service, or that activity which is above the three modes of material nature, something that is transcendental. And so we have this example here. So the mode of goodness is actually desirable by the devotees. And you'll see that there are all good qualities in the mode. In the mode of passion, there is only one acceptable quality, and that is creativity. You'll see Lord Brahma, he is in the mode of passion in the process of creation. But that creation has a purpose, and it's under the guidance of the instructions given to him by the Lord within the heart. Tene Brahma Ida Adikabaye. The Lord instructed Brahma within the heart to begin the process of creation, and he taught him how to do that. And so creation is a quality in the mode of passion. And so, but all of the other passionate qualities, such as selfishness, which all of the other qualities are based on the sense of selfishness. Whereas one is trying to gain something for their own person. It's called fruitive activities. It makes up the essence of material activities. Fruitive activities means desirable gain from a particular activity. Devotional service is free from that. So even sometimes devotees are looking for a benefit for the execution of their devotional service. In other words, some personal gain. And then that pollutes that activity, and that's called devotional service in the mode of passion, which is not pure devotional service. It's a mixture. Because it has elements of being engaged in the service of the Lord, it's called devotional service. But in the absolute principle of definition, it is not devotional service, because devotional service means ayabilasita sunyam, jnana karmananavritam anukulena krishna silanam bhakti uttamam. The devotional service is free from gain, personal, on the physical level, on the subtle level, on any level. It is meant for Krishna with a desire to please Krishna. That's devotional service. And there's no question of the mode of ignorance having any place in devotional service. Although in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it mentions devotional service in the mode of ignorance is when a person takes up devotional service and wants to destroy their enemies by the power of their worship to the Supreme Lord. So sometimes people who are vicious want to pray to God for God to support their desire to conquer their enemies, their desired enemies or their delegated enemies like that. So that's given so Kapila Dev speaks about these three qualities of devotional service in the different modes. But real devotional service is pure devotional service. That means even though the person may not be pure in heart, they should execute the activity in the purified way. Purified activity means to follow exactly how the activity should be performed and what is the mood of the execution of the activity. And the result is offered to the Lord as an act of devotion and not for some personal gain. If there's some personal gain, then that is given by Krishna just to reciprocate with his devotees. He does that sometimes. That's his prerogative. It's not part of devotional service. It's just the mercy of the Lord. Like he knows the devotee may have a material desire, but the devotee doesn't try to act on that material desire. And he keeps himself focused on devotional service. But the Lord sees, well, okay, this devotee has this desire, so he'll fulfill it sometimes in order to reciprocate for the devotee's devotional service. He does that sometimes. But if he sees that this type of reciprocation causes the devotee to want more of the same, then the Lord doesn't do that again. But he does that sometimes. It's like to use a very simple example, you might think, well, I'm going to lunch today. I don't know what's going to be for lunch, but I really hope that this preparation is there for lunch, something you really like. And the Lord will sometimes inspire the cook. Okay, I want to please my devotee, so he'll inspire the cook to cook that preparation. And the devotee becomes, oh, very nice, yes. So that's the Lord sometimes, he does that to reciprocate with his devotees like that. Or if the devotee wants something material, and he needs it for devotional service, but he doesn't ask the Lord for it. Still, sometimes the Lord will arrange that for that object to come. But a devotee has no interest because all he wants to do is make Krishna happy. And he knows by pleasing Krishna, there's no greater gain that one can achieve. Sometimes devotees ask the question, how do we know when Krishna is pleased by our devotional activities? And Prabhupada would respond, when you're pleased. It's a very simple answer, but then he elaborated by saying that because we are part and parcel of Krishna, we are never, and devotional service connects us directly with Krishna. We're always directly connected with Krishna, but because of our consciousness, we're not aware of that direct connection. But sometimes that covering is what we say temporarily relieved, or what we say uncovered, and the devotee can feel the happiness of the execution of devotional service, which means that actually Krishna is actually pleased by that activity. So, but one should stay within the boundaries of proper execution of devotional service, and not to do something I like and simply offer to Krishna in devotional service and call it devotional service. Sometimes that's allowable for those who are beginning the process of devotional service. Krishna will allow that to happen just to allow that devotee to become somewhat situated in regulated devotional service. But as a devotee progresses, the devotee doesn't look for anything personal, simply wants to serve for the sake of service, and he becomes happy by the service. The service itself is the satisfying factor. And the fact that Krishna is pleased by the service makes it even more wonderful or more perfect. Because the nature of life in its intrinsic quality is service. Everyone has to serve at all times in all situations. The material world, people are serving in different ways. Their family, their associates, their friends, their boss, or maybe even you see nowadays, at least I notice everybody has a dog, at least in Western countries. It's even coming into India now, people are getting dogs. Yeah, and they make their dog, they're like they're they're additional member of the family. And that dog gets all the privileges of the family members. And people walk their dog, they carry, you go out in the morning for a walk and you see people walking their dog. And in some countries, most countries, Western countries, they have rules that if the dog passes stool, the owner has to clean it up immediately. So he carries a little shovel, some plastic bag, and he's very enthusiastic to pick up what the dog left. The dog stops, he stops. If the dog goes, he goes. You're not sure who's walking who anymore. It's actually, you can't, if you look at it, you see the dog's really moving around and the person's following the dog wherever he goes. He's just trying to hold the dog so the dog doesn't get away. That's about it. I see this a lot because I travel in different countries and I go for morning walks, and it's quite profuse. Sometimes you see people, they're walking their dog and their friend is walking their dog and the two dogs meet each other, and then people can greet each other and it becomes the highlight of the morning walk for these people, that the dogs meet and the people meet. And so this serving of the dog has replaced a lot of activities, and particularly in Western countries. It's a big affair now. Everybody has a dog. And I use the word everybody because it's practically like that. And if a person doesn't have a dog, they have some kind of animal there in their home to serve. Okay, so we can stop there and we can open it up for questions.
Thank you, Maharaj, for so many amazing points, what you mentioned. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. If you have any questions, comments, realization, request everybody, please raise your hand, or if you can't, then just type in the chat window. I will try to read on your behalf. Also, my humble request, if you can please switch on your video. That's better way to interact because we are all virtually interacting with Maharaj, but at least if video is on, it's a better means. You can also have darshan and Maharaj can also have your darshan. And that also shows, as Maharaj said day before yesterday class, that means we are all really seriously, attentively listening to his class. So, yes, Hare Krishna, Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Vrindavan. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today in class, Guru Maharaj, you spoke about how morality or the definition of morality is up for grabs and people define morality as they like. And so I was thinking about, my experiences now that I'm here in India. Giving a bribe is considered normal. To get anything done, you're supposed to give a bribe. And people think that there is no way some work can get done without bribes. Whether it is to get your ration card, voter ID, Aadhaar card, PAN, whatever it may be, you have to pay a bribe and get it. So I was wondering, when Srila Prabhupada asked his Western disciples to start so many things here in the early days, did they have to give in to this corruption that exists and give bribes to open temples, to get permits for Rath Yatras, to do all these things here in India?
Well, just like when we started our temple in Mumbai, we applied for a phone. And they said, yes, we'll have a phone in 2 months. So they gave us a 2-month time period, but devotees couldn't tolerate the weight, and so they pulled a few strings here and there, and next day they had a phone. So, yeah, so it's like that in some places. When you want to get something done, you pay a little extra. And that's almost seen as an acceptable way, because a lot of these agencies, they make it difficult. And then they add on this fee for extra service. So they encourage that, like that. So sometimes it's bribe, and sometimes it's just a way of getting things done. That's all. But we don't, promote such activities, but in certain emergency situations like that, person has to go to India and they don't have their visa, and they only have a couple days to get it, so they want to push it through, so they offer something and the visa comes. And you see that happens. That's almost a normal thing.
So that means in certain situations, giving this extra money as an incentive to get a job done, which they should be doing anyway, but they won't do it because they want that money, that would be considered normal, moral?
No. Business means cheating. Yeah. Business means cheat. According to Manu Samhita, business is a service given to the public and should be done within certain parameters. In other words, there's guidelines by which businesses are supposed to follow. But now the guideline is the profit margin. So Manu Samhita says that one is only allowed to make 25% profit from their business adventures, and not, take advantage of people's needs and like charge exorbitant prices in order to, get more wealth. But nowadays, business they do whatever they want. There is a regulation committee on business, but they also need to be regulated too, because they cheat too. So when you're talking about India, you're talking about something that goes on as a norm, and not as something outside of the norm. It just goes on like that. In Western countries, it's not so profuse, but it's still there. So we try to avoid all that, follow the principles like that. But these are things, when devotees do it, they do it for devotional reasons. They don't do it for personal gain. That's different.
Guru Maharaj, I wanted to share that I was so put off by this attitude that I said my papers are all clear. I'm not a mafia. I'm not a terrorist. I'm not ISIS. I don't have to hide anything and pay under the table. I'm a straightforward, person of this country, a simple, humble devotee. Why should I pay any bribe? I refused to do it. I absolutely refused to do it. Of course, it took me 2 years, but finally I got my Aadhaar card without paying a single paisa in bribe. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but I did it.
All glories.
Well, yes, Guru Maharaj, but a lot of time
Yeah,
was spent in trying to do this because I said this is my personal stuff. I should not mix this up with devotional service. I
I'm
should
not
do
giving, I'm not here to make an opinion or give you a judgment based on what you did.
The reason I'm asking this is, Guru Maharaj, tomorrow, if we want to do a project for Prabhupada, we want to do something, then when we are asked to do all these things, what should we do?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not going to speak on these things because it's just irrelevant. You work with your local authorities when you do things. And let them work with the standard authorities that are outside of devotional service.
Okay. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
We don't want to be known as the International Society for cheating. We don't do that.
I hope this answered your question, Sridevi Mataji.
Yes, thank you.
So, Maharaj, while the time other devotee ask any question, I have actually few, but I will ask one. Maharaj, we say that Kali Yuga entered after leaving, when Krishna left this planet, as was mentioned in this verse. But Kali Yuga kind of activities, like some kind of irreligion, some kind of these things, were still existing in the Satyuga and Treta Yuga. So, how to really understand this?
I kind of missed your point. Could you kind of like rephrase that a little?
Yes, Maharaj, please. So, my point was that we say that, as it's in fact, like as it was mentioned in the verse, that Kali Yuga entered when Krishna left this planet in the Upper Yuga. But many such irreligion or religious activities, this kind of behavior, were prevalent in previous ages also, like Satyuga, Treta Yuga also. So, how to understand this?
Well, you have it said in Satya Yuga, the four principles of religion were followed completely. And so there was no irreligion, no. Satya Yuga is the pure age. And then as you go through the ages, one of those principles are what we say challenged. And so in Kali Yuga, three of the principles are challenged as the ages go on. I think when mercifulness and intoxication, mercifulness, austerity, cleanliness, and truthfulness are the four principles. So as the ages go down, one of them is lost. And now in Kali Yuga, we have only truthfulness to some degree. So as the ages go, these are, but Kali's activities are sinful, such as, illicit sex and all of it. Of course, they were there in previous ages too, but they were there. But Kali is full blown. It's all pervading. You had individual situations in previous ages, and you can read about it. When Lord Ram was personally present, that was in the Treta Yuga. And you have, you have the demon Ravana was there. And he committed so much sinful activity. So there were demons also. And demons don't follow any regulative principles. Demon is a class of living entities that are born into that culture, of demoniac culture. And they exist on planets all over the lower planets and around the earth also. The demons are a race of people. They're actually demonic races. And they come in many categories. So they were the ones that were influencing on that level. But when Kali Yuga means that the personification of sin becomes what we say triumphant, and then starts to spread his poison everywhere. So you saw little increments of all of that in previous ages, but they were usually done by people who were demoniac or influenced by demoniac principles. But this is the age of Kali. That's why we call it Kali Yuga.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. So, dear devotees, if you have any questions, comments, we still have few minutes. Great opportunity. Please utilize this. Yes, Sonal Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. My obeisances to all the devotees as well. So what I can understand and what Sri Devi Mataji has asked previously as well is, so we should not get surprised if Sri Devi Mataji struggled to get her Aadhaar card, because we should expect all these difficulties when we are going through Kali Yuga. Is it right?
Yeah. You'll find it there, yeah. But
So we should be prepared to face it.
Yeah, yeah, but if you're doing it in the context of devotional service, then yeah, you can, Prabhupada also said one thing. Now, he said, when you're dealing with cheaters, you have to cheat. So, I mean, that statement can be really bandied around and used in the wrong way. But for instance, people were forced to take the vaccination, and many people were against it, but still they were forced to do it. And other people who were being forced, they found ways to get around it. And so you can't say that they were cheating, because they had reasons why they refused to go along with the principle of the times for whatever reason. So in that case, you might say they didn't cheat, but they were just protecting themselves from being exploited or being, minimized. So there's different situations. You have to use your judgment, and you can't apply a blanket principle in a very variegated situation where sometimes, just like, for instance, here's another one. They say the Brahmins are so truthful that if someone comes into the house of the Brahmana and threatens him and says, "Where is your money?" the Brahmin will say, "Well, it's here, it is, right here." Because he's so truthful, he won't even lie. But then again, if someone lies or doesn't tell the truth, are they breaking religious principles? No. So again, you have to see how it is understood and applied. There's certain cases where, we have the example of even Krishna. When what was it? Krishna told Yudhisthira to tell Dronacharya that Asvatthama has been killed. Yeah. Now, Yudhisthira couldn't possibly even tell a lie. And so, but Krishna asked him to tell a lie. And in order to destroy the enthusiasm of Dronacharya so he could be defeated by Arjuna. Otherwise, Arjuna couldn't defeat him. But there was an elephant that was also known as Asvatthama. So Yudhisthira, that elephant also was killed. So Yudhisthira said the Asvatthama was killed, but then he said under his breath, not aloud, the elephant. And Krishna took issue with Yudhisthira for not going ahead with his plan. So you see, sometimes certain elements of cheating is used for a higher purpose. In this case, for a purpose of devotional service. So these are exceptions. These are not the norm. That's what we have to keep in mind.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yeah, thank you. Nice question. Yeah.
So Maharaj, by the time other devotee asks this question, any other question, I have one related to what you mentioned. See, Yudhishthira Maharaj, many times, he was very hesitant in following Krishna instructions. And of course, he was very righteous and truthful always. But in spite of that, because of the good quality in others, he, after leaving the body, he went to, like he got liberated, but others had to go to hell for some time, other Pandavas. So how to understand this?
The other Pandavas had to go to hell? I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, that's what mentioned, that for some time, like for a brief time, they went to hell to take the like reactions of some activity, except Yudhishthira Maharaj.
No, it said Yudhisthira had to see hell for not following Krishna's instruction. It mentions that. He had to see hell, whether he went to hell or not. Yeah. Yeah, also Karna was it. In fact, that because nobody, what was it? Karna was the son of Draupadi. But that was kept quiet because, let's see, what was the reason that was kept quiet? Do you remember? That was kept quiet when later on, when Draupadi found.
Kunti
Kun-
was not married,
Yeah,
and she
Kunti
called the
was
sun god.
Right. So that was kept quiet, but because of that being kept quiet, they could kill Karna. Otherwise, if they knew Karna was their brother, they wouldn't have ever killed him. And later on, I think who was implicated in keeping that quiet? That was Yudhisthira knew about it, I think. I'm not sure of the details of that one. But that's another one. That's what apparent transgression was actually a benefit in order to help win the war. Because as long as Karna and Dronacharya and Bhishma Dev were there was no chance for the Pandavas to win. Krishna knew that. So he had to come up with plans to somehow foil these three persons, and he did. All three of them, including Bhishma.
Thanks, Maharaj. There is one comment or maybe one question, in fact, from Scarlett Mataji in the chat. She's saying, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to you, Your Holiness, and all glories to you all. Lord Dattatreya, so this is her question. Lord Dattatreya has 4 dogs round, and it says it is representing 4 Vedas. Have I understood it right?
Dattatreya is what?
4 dogs, he had 4 dogs, and it represented 4 Vedas.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Dattatreya to really comment on that one. Someone else wants to comment? I just don't know. I don't have enough information on Dattatreya to know that he had dogs or whatever.
Sure, Maharaj. We'll move on. Sakshi Mataji, you have raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, can I go ahead with my question?
I'm listening.
Yes, so Mataji, go ahead, please. Maharaj is listening.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, you mentioned in the class that only mode of goodness is conducive for practicing devotional service. And recently, I was reading an article of Srila Prabhupada. He was saying that women, they are generally equipped with the qualities of passion and ignorance,
Who?
and man also, but they can be elevated to the platform of goodness, but women cannot be. So I just wanted to know more on the same.
Well, what was the question again? I missed it.
In the class,
Women cannot be elevated to the mode of goodness. Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's what her question, Maharaj, that
As soon as
women.
a soul in a female body engages in devotional service, they're not they're not performing activities in the modes. That's for materialistic persons, not for devotees. I mean, some of the greatest devotees were women.
thank you, Maharaj, for clarifying. Hare Krishna.
Hari bol. Thank you, Mataji. I think all Mataji will be feeling very happy now, so that's good. So, Maharaj, we are just on time now. There is no any other questions or comments or any
We can
question on
stop
chat.
now if you want, unless there's another question. I'm still here.
So, dear devotee, if you have any last questions, request to take advantage of this. Maharaj has got few more minutes. Sakshi Mataji, your hand is raised. I hope this is related to your previous question, correct? Thank you.
Okay, we can stop here. If there's no more questions, and we'll see you tomorrow.
So, thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, really. Many questions, many our queries got answered. So, really inspiring. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Koti Vishnu ki jai.
Jai.
Premanande, Hari, 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 Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you.